Okay, tēnā koutou katoa, kia ora, tātou. Gives me a pleasure to welcome you to the special general meeting. It's an important meeting because it's one of the major steps for Vanita as DGE to present her budget to her clubs. You would have received a copy of that budget, and it allows you then to ask questions later on as after she has presented her highlights of her goals and aspirations as district governor following myself in 23-24. So I'll hand over to Alan Eyes, the district chair, finance chair. Alan, as Edith has said, has had a long history in managing the finance area, does an extreme job, and the district values his contribution along that journey. Over to you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Edith, for those introductory comments. Now, as some of you heard earlier, DGE Vanita is currently in the US, so she's asked if I will lead the presentation of her budget. The budget has been circulated to all clubs some two to 3 weeks ago, so hopefully those on the call have had an opportunity to look at it. I'll step through reasonably quickly, talking of, what do we got here? Have I put the wrong slide up, guys? I have. Sorry, bear with me. You may have to assist here, John. I'm jumping ahead till 3 o'clock, so.
That's where we sing a song.
That'd be a really good idea, Edith, but don't ask me to sing.
Okay.
John, are you able to take over and bring up the budget, please? Is John there?
You'll have to stop sharing those slides, Alan.
Yeah.
Alan, I don't have the other presentation. Yes. I've only got one. Hang on. Let me have a look. Go back. What did Edith send me?
Sorry about this.
No, she sent me your treasurer one and Vanita's one, so I don't.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
No, that's my presentation, not the budget.
Yeah, it's not. Oh no, it's the budget one. It's just called Vanita for some reason. Let me share my screen.
Sorry. Yeah.
That one you're looking for?
That's the one. Thank you. So if we can step to the second page. Okay, so I'll just run through some of the key points here. Firstly, you'll notice that the reimbursement from RI to contribute to the expenses is 10,000 less than what Alan had allocated. So that's not a good place to start. Under the items that we can claim for Rotary International expenses, you'll notice a rebalancing between Pacific Island Club visit costs and Auckland Club visit costs. Obviously, with Vanita based in Suva, it's a different equation there. We can go on to the next slide, please, Alan. John, the district levy. We talk a little bit about the recommended dues later, but basically that levy is budgeted on the same rates, but based off the membership levels that we build for this year. And for those that are aware, our membership has held fairly steady over the year, which is better than perhaps where we've been in past years, which is really good. You'll also notice down under the district expenses that what we class under institute, which is training for the district governor train, that those costs now can get allocated under the Rotary International funding, which is a plus. And there is no Island Club or no DG visit costs in here. And the reason for that is Vanita won't be traveling with an accompanying person. You will notice that we have allowed down the bottom for VIP RI reps, which we do tend to do when the budget provides it, because if we have an incoming world president or the likes visiting, some of those costs do get picked up within district. So we've put a nominal amount in there to allow for that. You will notice the sundry costs have increased, or we have budgeted to increase them. And part of that relates to storage facility that district now has. And I put a plug in here that if any clubs need storage for records or regalia, there is space available. Just contact Secretary Kirsten. Next page, please, John. Under committee and project expenses, you will notice we've still budgeted quite an extensive amount of money for membership and extension, and under public image, public relations, those amounts are down on what we've allocated this year, but still substantial money because of the importance here that we do communicate out into the committee and put effort into building existing and new clubs. You'll also notice we have $3,000 in under information and communications as a nominal amount, as it's quite likely that district will be converting from Club Runner to Flectra during the coming year. Now, there is a budgeted deficit of just on $14,000. That's substantially less than what we've budgeted for the current year, although the way things are running, that deficit won't be anywhere near that level. As finance chair, I'm not overly concerned about that because we're investing here around membership and extension. And also during those COVID years, we did have surpluses which were carried forward to reserves. So this is where this deficit would be made up from. So John, if we can go to the next page, please. So just some of the points that I've noted there, that leadership development is still mainly conducted online, which of course means much lower costs than in-person events. Obviously now visits to Pacific Island clubs in person have recommenced, and those are reflected in the budget. As I've said, we're putting forward that the membership levy rates remain unchanged, as have the numbers that I've budgeted on. Insurance for district and clubs, the core insurance, and I'll talk a little bit about that at the 3 o'clock session, is now paid by district. And that's important for clubs to note. And I've already talked about investment in membership and communication initiatives. And we've talked about where the funding would come from to make up that deficit that's being budgeted. We can go to the next page now, please, John. So this is where the levies would end up. There is an increase in RI dues of some $4 US, and that was approved at the 2022 Council on Legislation. So it's important for clubs to note those higher numbers that you will need to allow for in your budgets. The Rotary Down Under magazine has increased something like 20 cents for both the mail version and the digital version. And as I noted earlier, the amounts have proposed for the Rotarian levels at 55 plus GST in New Zealand and $45 with no GST applicable for the Pacific Islands remained unchanged, as does the amounts of $8 plus GST for Auckland Rotaractors and $5 for those in the Pacific Islands. So those are the recommendations, for the recommendation being that the budget be received and the district levy rates be approved at the same level as last year. So I'm happy to take any questions or comments, or hand back to District Governor Allen now in terms of dealing with a motion to formally accept those recommendations.
Sure, thank you, Alan. Vanita, is there anything you wish to contribute to this discussion at this stage?
No, thank you, DG Allen. It's got nothing at the moment.
Okay, fine. So it's important that clubs have the opportunity to ask questions if required. Is there any questions asked of this?
Yeah, question from Taviuni, Alan.
Yes, Peter.
Yeah,
Yes, you're there. I just don't understand the RDU magazine mailed is $44.70, and yet an email copy is $5 less. There's no mailing involved, there's no printing involved, there's no paper involved. I just wonder why there is so little difference in a mailed hard copy to a digital form.
The production of the magazine is probably the biggest bulk rather than the delivery of the magazine, Peter. It is a discussion that we have held quite rigorously over the last year or so. And the other part of that magazine is where it has been compulsory to purchase to countries who don't even speak English. So that's still work in progress. It's not a answer that I can give at this stage. It's one that we would have to put to the RDU board. And
Okay.
happy to do so.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? So with that, it's important that the clubs understand that they are voting for this budget, and the budget is one that Vanita and the finance chair is responsible for over the next 12 months from the 1st of July. So can I have someone please who would, as a resolution, propose that this budget as presented by the district chair of finance, Alan Eyes, in association with DGE, Vanita Nand, be accepted as a budget, please. Can I have a proposer?
I'll propose.
Okay, Bella
from Otahu.
from Otahu has proposed. And could I have a seconder, please?
No.
Anyone voice up? It's easier to voice up rather than hands.
Did you want to second it?
Anyone second the budget?
Second.
Thank you, Evelyn, from the Auckland South Club. So with that proposal and seconded, is there any further conversation required in terms of this from anyone within the forum? And if not, I would suggest that we, as part of this resolution and second, that we accept the proposal to accept the budget as presented on behalf of the clubs and treat it as affirmed. Thank you. That leaves the end of the process. Well done, Vanita. Well done, Alan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Alan.
thank you all.
Thanks. So that's the end of the special general meeting, and now I'll hand back to Edith for the rest of the day. Unfortunately, I have to leave, as Edith knows, but I wish you all the very best. This is an important part of leadership in Rotary, and I wish you a great afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. Thank you, Alan Eyes. And thank you everyone for getting our special general meeting underway in record time. Appreciate it. I'd now like to hand over to our team member, LED team member Ursula Bach, to take on the next session of our LED and introductions to our DGE, Vanita Nand. Kia ora, Ursula.
Kia ora, Edith, thank you. I'd like to welcome Vanita Nand. She is District Governor-elect for 2022-23 from Fiji. She's a fourth generation Indo-Fijian and comes from the town of Nasinu. Vanita's career spans 39 years working for the Bank of Baroda and Air Pacific, now Fiji Airlines, and for 26 years at the British High Commission, where she was the head of political and communications for several years. Vanita joined Rotary in 2004 and was club president in 2015-16. She was one of 2 assistant governors in Fiji from 2018 and area governor for Fiji in 2020. Lastly, we'd like to acknowledge the sudden passing of Vanita's beloved husband, Nainendra also from Fiji, earlier this year. Moi mai, moi mai, moi mai rai te rangitira. Vanita looks forward to her DG role, to form closer associations and friendships with Rotarians in the district, Zone 8 and wider Rotary International family. Please join me in welcoming DGE Vanita Nand.
Thank you, Ursula. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Right, so we've got a slide going. We have a slide, yeah.
John, is
Yep.
that maybe something you can?
We're getting there.
Good, good.
I'm ready to sing anytime, John.
No need, Edith. Thank you for the offer.
Thank you. Bulavinaka, kia ora, talofa, kia orana, bonjour, maori, maolele. Happy Mother's Day to all the ladies here and to the ladies at home. Greetings from District 9920 and my Rotary Club, the Rotary Club of Suva in Fiji. I'd like to first congratulate you all who are here today in your capacity as a member of your club, or as the president, or as one of the board members. To the AGs, thank you very much for accepting the role, and I really look forward to working with you throughout the year. Following the pandemic, we are now able to meet with each other. We are able to see each other. So I envisage that our year is going to be quite interesting and fun. We're going to be meeting more clubs. We will be able to visit our clubs in the neighborhood. We'll be able to see more people visiting us in our countries, especially from people who are traveling to Fiji, Rotarians who come to Fiji to do their projects. We really look forward to that. And let's have a great year. Could I have the second slide, please? Thank you, John. Right, I thought we'll start with an introduction for those who may be new to Rotary and are not familiar with the zone. So we belong to Zone 8. You will see the country in the first picture there with Australia, New Zealand, the Pacific Island countries. So that's the Oceania zone, Zone 8, that we belong to. You'll be hearing more about regionalization plans. The pilot has been approved, so there'll be a lot more discussions around the regionalization as we go through with today and tomorrow. The second picture shows us the countries that belong to the Pacific Island and New Zealand. You will see there are 6 districts there. We belong to District 9920, and we have 7 other Pacific Island countries in our district. And I look forward to visiting those clubs in those countries and getting to know the Rotarians and the Rotractors in those countries more closely. Thank you. I thought, since I come from Fiji, as DG past District Governor Alan Eyes has mentioned, and has Edith, I come from Fiji. We have 8 clubs in Fiji and 3 Rotaract clubs. We work very closely together with each other. I think we have a great team that we work with. We work with a lot of Rotractors and Rotarians from Australia and New Zealand, and far countries, even from the UK, who come to do a lot of projects in Fiji. It's a very busy country in terms of Rotary, and I look forward to bringing the clubs in our district more closely linked with each other in the Pacific Island countries and in New Zealand. So let's work towards that so that we can work together and bring the name of Rotary and bring more to Rotary International through our district. Thank you. We're going to play a short video from the RI President, Gordon McAnally, who's going to speak about his theme for the year and what he is expecting us in our districts to do, and all the districts around the world will be working towards his theme and his plans. So let's hear from the Rotary International President, Gordon McAnally.
In 2006, I visited a village in Thailand, Ban Taling Jan, where Rotary members, following the tsunami of 2004, had provided new houses, a meeting hall, a childcare facility and a healthcare facility. There I was approached by a woman who looked as worn as you might expect of someone who had faced and lived through what she had done. That woman offered me a beautiful seashell. This beautiful seashell. She explained that the shell had been in her possession for more than 30 years. It was one of her very few remaining possessions. And initially, I was reluctant to accept it, but she insisted on giving it to me as a token of her gratitude for what Rotary had done for her. Later on the tour, I saw the woman again, and I learned that she had lost her husband, her daughter, and also her son in the tsunami. She told me that that disaster had taken everything. She lost her family, her home, her livelihood, but worst of all, she had lost hope and all reason to continue to live. But she went on to tell me that Rotary, thanks to all we had done to rebuild her community, had restored her optimism. She told me we had given her hope. This is a beautiful shell. And as I was planning the theme for our year and what it would mean, I was drawn not only to the shell, but also to the colours of the world around us, which are used to great effect by one of Scotland's greatest living artists, John Laurie Morrison, OBE, better known as Joe Lomo, whose paintings Heather and I have admired and collected for many years. As we were selecting the colours for our ties and our scarves, as you can now see on the screen behind me, I wanted them to reflect the world's colours, and more importantly, what Rotary should focus on in our year ahead. The memory of the lady from Thailand, and these colours made me realise that what we should be seeking to do at this time, what we should be using as our call to action, and it all made me realise what our theme should be. And so I am delighted to tell you that our theme for 2023-24 will be Create Hope in the World. Gib der Welt Hoffnung. Crea esperanza en el mundo. Crions l'espoir dans le monde. Creiamo speranza nel mondo. Se kai nikobo o motarasi. Se sage hemang ul. Crii speranga nu mundo. Sai shitie changosao shiwan. Skapa hope e varden. This is how Rotary brings lasting change to the world, one newly created hope at a time. And the theme also begins to explain how we help to create a similar kind of change within ourselves. Because for many people on this planet, lost hope is not a function of material poverty loss. All of us face challenges that threaten our well-being. And just as it takes tremendous courage to wage peace, so too it is brave to reach out and admit that you need help. In the wake of the pandemic, more people than ever are hurting. Many have lost the people closest to them. Others have seen their social networks uprooted. Divisions have grown wider. Opportunities for connection have been lost. and some of those hurting the most are the children and young adults whose education and social skills building has been so interrupted. And to make matters worse, in many parts of the world, asking for help, especially in mental health, is considered a weakness. But nothing could be further from the truth. It is brave to be vulnerable and to admit you don't have all the answers. Reaching out for help is courageous, and continuing on a path towards wellness even more so. Later this week, I will explain why I feel so strongly about the topic of mental health. And you will be hearing about some of the steps we will be taking over the next year and hopefully beyond to improve the mental health system, not only for our Rotary members, but for our communities as well. I want Rotary to become known as an organisation that takes care of its members as well as the people we serve. Any mental health professional will tell you that by helping ourselves, we essentially help others. The evidence overwhelmingly shows that helping others benefits our mental health and our well-being by reducing stress and improving our mood. The friendships developed along the way foster an incredible sense of community and camaraderie, themselves essential ingredients to mental health and wellness. So, these are our plans for the year ahead. That we help bring peace to the world and soothe those afflicted by conflict. And that we help each other and our communities deal with our own internal struggles, and that we end the stigma associated with asking for help. In all these actions, the goal is to create hope, to help the world heal from destructive conflicts, and in turn to help us achieve lasting change for ourselves. Rotary helps create the conditions for peace, opportunity, and a future worth living. By continuing what we do best, by remaining open and willing to change, and by keeping our focus on building peace in the world and within ourselves, Rotary creates a more peaceful world, a more hopeful world. And so, as Rotary leaders from all the regions, I urge you to create hope in the world. Thank you very much. In 2000,
Benita, you're muted.
Thank you, John. Sorry about that. So two real things that the RI president wants us to look at. Peace. We look at clubs around us. We look at the people around us. We look at the community around us. Is there some way we can help bring more peace to the people, to our own friends in Rotary, and to our own friends outside of Rotary? Let's think about it. Take a few seconds to think about how we can bring peace to those that may need us at this time. Also, mental health. In each country, I think there are enough evidences that there is a lot of help that is needed for mental health. Let's talk to our clubs. Let's talk to our members. We may not want to do it as a club project, perhaps do it individually, get a group of friends together. Let's try and bring awareness to mental health and get rid of the stigma. Thank you, John. If you had heard the RI president in his longer statement, there is a video of his full address, which is about 21 minutes long. We haven't played that today. But if you look at that, there is more that he wants us to do apart from mental health and peace. So things that he has asked us that we continue to work on, which has been taken from the ears previously, from Jennifer Jones here, from President Shekhar's here is the End Polio campaign. We are almost there. They're asking us to put that extra effort in and try and get rid of polio totally in the world. So we have the End Polio campaign to work with. We also need to help road tractors. We have a lot of road tractors. We have road track clubs in our own countries. We need more of them. So let's try and get more road tractors together who can help us in reaching our goals. Let's serve, celebrate, and give to the road tractors as well. The other thing that RI President Gordon McInally has asked us to do is to continue our campaign with helping empower more women. This is something that is not just Rotary focus, but I think UN focus. Now there is more focus from our organizations that we work at that want women to be empowered. Let's start with Rotary as well. Let's look at the women in our membership. Let's try and see how we can help them or get more women into Rotary. We all know that every hand helps, and getting more women involved in Rotary would help Rotary as well. Thank you.
You're not using it.
So we now have the, as we are working with all these projects, we should not forget the projects that we are working on. Every club has projects that they may have envisaged for the coming year, or they are continuing in the current year. We can increase our impact, we can expand our reach, we can enhance the participation, and we can increase our ability to adapt. This is the Rotary Action Plan. Let's have a look with our board members on what we can do to further Rotary's Action Plan. And this would translate into projects, this would translate into events, this would translate into a lot of things that we do. I would urge you all to please look with your board at the Rotary Action Plan and what we have been asked to do by the RI President, to look at the continuing projects and see what we can do. I would like to hear more about it through your AGs on what your clubs are doing. And wherever we can help you, we'll help you. If you do need any help, reach out to us in the district and we will try and help you reach those goals. Thank you. This is the district board. I've only put the actual board here. The constitution asks us to have 5 of the executive members, 4 of the committee heads, the committee chairs, and the area governors as part of our board. The total number of appointments in this year as part of the district leadership team is 42 appointments. This is just the board. We have the immediate current district governor, Alan Smith. We will have Vidya Nand, who's coming in as the DG governor after me. We have the district governor nominee, who's yet to be appointed. Then we the secretary, Kirsten Hawke. We have Alan Eyes as our district treasurer. We have Steve as our foundation chair. We're looking at a membership committee. The chair is Ashwini. The chair for the district youth project is Peter Ross. And we have the co-chairs for Rotract. The district Rotract representative is Jane Stevens, and the Rotract chair as a Rotarian would be Alex Herring. Then we have supporting them the area governors. If you want to see the full list of appointments, we have Jeanette, who will be looking after international services. We have people looking at various areas, diversity. The full list is on the Rotary District 9920 website. Please have a look there, because you will be needing these experts in these areas to help you with your club. If you need anything more than that, do reach out to me. If there's something that is not covered, we will put you in touch with the right person who can help you. If you're looking at diversity in your club, you'll be looking at the diversity chair. If you're looking to do partnerships, will be looking to Janet Drysdale. and Rotarians, Rotractors. Your first point of contact will be your AGs. Next slide, please, John. This is the list of AGs that we have. We have 12 area governors. You will see their clubs against their names in this slide. This list is also available on the RI website and also on the district website. So the 12 area governors, together with Jane Stevens, who's the Rotary representative looking after Rotary clubs in the district. Please reach out to them. Let them know what you are doing. They will be reporting to the board every month on what your projects are. And this is how we will get to know what you are doing in your clubs and how we can help you. So do not forget to reach out to your AGs, invite them to your club meetings. They will be having cluster meetings with your presidents, and they may be also extending it to other board members. So be in touch with them, and you will find that work will become more easy for you throughout the year. Thank you. In our districts, we have 58 clubs. There are 52 Rotary clubs. There is 1 satellite club, and there are 5 Rotaract clubs. In terms of numbers for Rotarians and Rotractors, we have 1,163 Rotarians in District 9920, 186 honorary Rotarians, 60 Rotractors. We are looking at increasing these numbers because the more hands we have, the easier the work becomes, the easier for us to reach out to our communities and help them. Please look at, if you have members in your clubs who may now be ready to take on honorary roles, make them honorary Rotarians, bring in some new people, bring in Rotractors, form Rotaract clubs, and they will in turn help your clubs as well. Thank you, John. So for the district, we have heard what the RI president wants us to do. He's continuing with all the projects, the past projects, and with his peace and mental health. But in our district, having looked at what we have been doing in the past, and to carry on with the good work that our past district governors have been doing, there are 3 key areas that I think we should work on in the coming year. The first is the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation has transforms the gifts into services and the projects that change lives, both close to home and around the world. With your help, we can make lives better in the community and around the world through Rotary grants. I will mention here that having come from Fiji, I have at first hand seen the work that the Rotary Foundation has done through the district grants and through the global grants. It's really important that as we help our communities, we should also look to the Rotary Foundation to ensure that our club, as part of our constitution, contributes to the Rotary Foundation. Because once it contributes to the Rotary Foundation, if we need money to help run projects in another country or within our own country or within our community, we can reach out and get more for the money that we are putting in through our clubs and through ourselves. And if we do that, the Rotary Foundation will benefit us all. So please do, I encourage you to all see what your club has contributed to the Rotary Foundation in the last 3 years. And if we haven't been able to, please make that a priority and help us raise funds for the Rotary Foundation, because in turn, it helps our communities. The second part is the membership. We are seeing across the world a decline in our membership. It's not because of want, it's just that we are not targeting the work that we are doing, or we are not reaching out to the right people. We just need to do a lot more work in reaching out to our friends, friends of friends, people in our organizations to join the Rotary. But we need to demonstrate what good work Rotary does. If we do that, there will be no effort in bringing new members to our clubs and to our neighboring clubs. If they don't mix the fit of our own club, we have neighboring clubs, we can form new clubs. So please have a look at the options that are available to you. We have people within the district. We have Ashwini as the chair of membership. Reach out to us, talk to us. If we cannot help you as a district, we can reach out to RI. We have people sitting in Sydney. We have people who are experts on membership in the district, in the zone, that we can reach out to, who can help us formulate a plan on how we can bring new membership or fresh blood or new people and introduce them to Rotary. The second thing that is related to membership is increasing the club numbers. Rotary is now very flexible. We don't have to do we don't have to attend all the meetings or 90% of the meetings. Rotary is very flexible in asking us to adapt to what our members want. So you really need to look at your club members. What do your club members want? If we are a lunch club, if it's not working, what will work? Can we change the meeting plans? Can we move it from the day we are having it now to another day, if that fits more people now? As you bring in more people, the demands would change. And what I would ask is, have a look, do a health check. You'll be learning more about it during the session today and next week on what can be done to help you bring in more satellite clubs. There is e-clubs, there are community-based clubs. If there are road track clubs, if people are younger and they fit in better with a road track club, that all will help us in the end. So I would urge you to please look at your club, your membership, and see how we can go forward. Thank you, John. Further on, the district conference, my district conference, will be held in Fiji from the 5th to the 7th of April 2024. Loads of time for you to start planning, start thinking. Please pass on the word to your club members that the next district conference will be in Fiji at the Sofitel Hotel, which is on Denarau Island in Nadi. And we have put it at a time when we've looked at which is outside of the school holidays. So there will not be a lot of, traffic, or the fares will be hopefully much cheaper than when it is during the peak period. Start putting it in your diary, ask your club presidents to bring it up frequently. We're looking forward to welcoming you to Fiji with all the Rotary clubs in Fiji behind me. It's going to be a fun event. More information will be coming as we develop the plan, but this is for you to please save the date. Thank you. The district changeover is going to be on the 1st of July at the Howick Club in Auckland. Please also let your club members know that this will be a breakfast changeover. All the details have been sent to all clubs. This information is also, I believe, available on the website. We have a guest speaker who will be talking about mental well-being, and it is the changeover will start from 8 a.m. and the tickets are $35 per person. There is a URL that's available where you can make your payment to get your tickets. So please do pass on the word, and we look forward to seeing many of you at the changeover breakfast. Thank you. In the end, before I leave, we need to focus on the Rotary's vision statement. Together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. Let's put this as the mantra for us as we work with our board and with our club members to further Rotary's vision and work together. Vinaka Vakalevu. Thank you. And I hope you all enjoy the training today, and next week I'll be here. If there's anything that you need, please do not hesitate. I'm very accessible through my email, through WhatsApp. If you need to be in touch with me, if there's anything you need, I'm readily available, and so are the district leadership team. We can help you reach out and get what you want for your club in your ear. Let's all work together, and I really look forward to seeing you at your club and to work with you. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Vanita. Lovely to hear from you. I'm going to pass it over to Edith.
Good, DGE Vanita, John and Ursula. What a great way to start the afternoon. And looking at our program, because I'm a bit of a program person, we have gone well over time, but what great information and news that DGE Vanita shared with us. So I'm going to go straight into, we're going to go into a break session first. If there is any questions, we'd like to put a poll up now, just around that session for DGE Vanitas. We were going to do the AGs. I'm wondering if there's any AGs, DGE Vanita, that you want to, there's a number in the room I can see. If they would like to say anything to anyone right now, we have a few minutes, and then we're going to go into a poll session just to ensure that we're getting everyone's feed in and feedback to our LED team in regards to next steps for our learning and development going forward. So DGEs, Vanita.
Right, so we're looking at AGs, are we?
AGs, yes. If there's any in the room that would like to share, I can see Madison, Andrew. I've got David here, Evelyn.
You can see Teresa.
Raj.
Yes.
Anyone like to share? Madison would like to start.
Oh, hi everyone. First time for me. I'm really new to this new arena. It's just plenty of space to explore myself. Probably you were aware of my strange face before. Madison, from Auckland South Club. I think this is just a resetting myself to learn everything about Rotary insights. I'm sure there will be a lot of things to learn and also share. I just learned what our global president to be about his thoughts. Mental health is one of the key things which really get the attention for everyone, because I think this is a global issue for everybody. So I think the Rotary just hit it on the right time to put this into priority. If we all agree, and I think New Zealand will be, and also Pacific will be huge demand for this, I would say. Yeah, so I think the Rotary just it's just like simply a demand and supply relations, and we see what we can do and reuse our resources. And very happy to be and proud to be part of that. Thank you so much. Over to you, Edith. Yep, thank you.
Anyone else like to share? Evelyn, Andrew?
Me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, I'm Evelyn from Auckland South as well, and this is my second year for AG. So I would like to tell to all president-elects that you may receive thousands of emails after you being president, but don't be afraid, okay? And you're not alone, and you always have your team, your members, and district. You have us to support you always for the year. Thank you.
Good, Evelyn, thank you. Anyone else like to share?
Yeah, I'll have the break next.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. Yes.
I've been around Rotary for about 10 years. I'm a past president, current member and community director for Rotary Club of Papakura, District Rotary Peace Fellowship Subcommittee Chair, which is linked to a particular passion that I've got to follow through with Rotary, Peace Builder Clubs, which I'm very keen to present to anyone that's happy to listen. And now I'm the AG for South Rural Auckland as well.
Thank you, Andrew. Teresa.
Bola, I'm Teresa. I'm the current area governor for Fiji, looking after nine clubs and 3 Rotary clubs. But next year we will be having 2 AGs in Fiji. It will be my co-chair with Erica Lee from Rotary Club of Suva East. So that's quite a relief for me. But we are here to help you whenever you need any questions. I've been looking after the Western clubs, Lotoka, Nandi, Savu, Lambasa, and I've just heard that I'll be looking after Kiribati too. So I'm looking forward to working with you all. And yes, and I agree that mental issue is a problem. And it's because I work in an educational institute that has been one of the main causes of issues that we have in schools. So we're trying to prioritize on mental health in our university also. So that will be something to look forward to. And you can catch me in Latoka anytime.
Thank you, Teresa. Okay, I'm just going to launch, John, if we can launch this poll. Once it comes up, Whānau, you just click on the options in front of you. So this will be a little tester for us. Click on the answer, and I'm looking at how quickly we see that. Wonderful, very informative. 5 out of 6. I'm just looking at the percentages going up here. So click on this different areas, and we can use that for our feedback and our feed in for our next sessions coming forward into our next Rotary year. So thank you for that.
Everybody must want a break.
Yes, and then we're going into break. 22, 23. I'm going to try and get us to 30 because I know you can. We seem to be holding on 23. We've got 35 on.
Yeah, and I think 5 of those are hosts and co-hosts, so they can't vote.
Okay, let's have a look. I've ended poll share results. We've got the results up, John.
Oh, I can't see them, neither can you. So only participants can.
Okay, excellent. So there we are, Whānau, 75%.
Sorry, I can say this. Yes, 75%. Have you got the result there, Edith?
I have got that.
Sorry,
yep.
Great.
Well done. Okay, a break time. We're going to come back at 10 past 2 because you need 10 minutes. Go and have a drink, walk around. Thank you for that first session. Really interactive and really good to see and hear what's coming up for our new year. Thanks, Whānau. Okay, 2:10. Kia ora koutou katoa anō. Let's get into the second part of our session today, and I'd like to hand over to Kat Mariner, one of our LED committee. Kia ora, Kat.
Kia ora. Hi, everybody. Our next presentation is on international service, and it will be presented by Jeanette Drysdale, and she is currently the International Service Director 2023 to 2024, and is also a member of the Rotary Club of Otahuhu. Please join me in welcoming Jeanette.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can see my screen. Right.
You want to take it up to full?
Yeah, I'm just looking for that. That it?
No.
Right.
Just click play. That's it. That's it. Now you're.
Well, welcome everybody. I've only got a few slides because I just really want to give you a bit of a helicopter view of international service. And as has already been presented today, our district is unique in that it is international because we have many countries within our district. And within Zone 8, we have many more. So we already have those networks in place through our clubs. And it's just a matter of us utilising those better and more frequently. And of course, international service projects are not just restricted to our district or our zone, but could also be elsewhere in the world. And we do have a lot of clubs that do projects in Africa and India with other Rotary clubs. I want to give you some examples of how clubs are supporting international service. Now, this is not a comprehensive list, but I wanted to show you how broad it can be. There are some existing very effective programs such as Interplast and ROMAC. So Interplast is really around plastic surgery, and there's a team about to go to Tonga. And I know Shibali, who's the contact person in our district for Interplast, is looking for funds to help with that. ROMAC is obviously children that are coming for medical assistance into Australia or New Zealand, always looking for assistance there as host families in New Zealand or money to help support that. Emergency response kits, I think there's probably no one in our district that hasn't heard about this. This is a New Zealand project run by Rotary New Zealand World Community Service. And it's really, I think over the years, really proved its worth. For $600, you can pay for a kit. And there's opportunities for Auckland clubs to be involved in packing. And I understand that we currently have plenty of ERCs, so there probably won't be opportunity this year to do packing. But certainly our Pacific Island clubs will have been perhaps involved in distribution of these ERCs in times of disaster and will understand how important they are. So that is something that clubs can do one way or the other. In the past, we also had sister club relationships, and it's probably dropped by in recent years. Every Auckland club had a sister club, but it's not being promoted as such. But what we could perhaps look at is twinning. And twinning is where we might have a partnership with another club in the Pacific Island and work on a Pacific project. And if you want to take that further, maybe an area governor could get their clubs to work together to twin as an area with a club in the Pacific to work on a Pacific project. So that's something we could promote as something a little bit of a new twist. Responding to natural and humanitarian disasters. It's a terrible thing to know, but we are going to carry on having disasters that are going to be you know, an important thing in our area with cyclones, sea rising, storms, and New Zealand hasn't been immune to that, but also disasters such as the earthquake in Syria and Turkey, what's happening obviously in Ukraine, people that are short of food, whether it be the Sudan or somewhere in Africa, and humanitarian issues such as, you know, the Myanmar issues. So there's always going to be opportunities for clubs if they're so inclined to support those sorts of calls for action or calls for funds. There's also district and global grant projects. Now, not a lot of clubs want to take on the responsibility of a global grant on their own. But again, there is absolutely no reason why clubs can't work together collaboratively to put a global grant project or a district grant project together that's international. It will need one club in New Zealand to lead it and another club internationally in an island, Pacific Island, to be the host club over there. But again, we can think creatively to find these projects. All we need is the project that meets all the criteria for Rotary International to make that happen. Often it's not the money that's the problem, it's finding the people that are willing to make that commitment to the project. Another thing I've put in is Peace Scholars, because there's a lot of these other programs that fit under Rotary International, the Foundation Committee, but they are international. So every club, I would say, the challenge is to do at least one international project, if not more, but be creative about it. It could be a Peace Scholar. It could be being involved with the youth exchange program that John Fothergill is chairing. Or it could be as simple as joining a Rotary Action Group, say for maternal and child health, or being a Peace Builder Club, or something like that. So there's no constraints around how you can be involved in international service. It's not all about giving money to somebody else. It could be just involvement and education and learning more or supporting somebody else's project. This slide is really just briefly to tell you about Rotary New Zealand World Community Service. This is a separate organisation that's supported by all the districts in New Zealand, and their main focus is on disaster relief, so obviously the ERCs program and also international development. Not only do they receive funds from Rotary clubs, but also from the public, which is quite, we can get a lot of money that way just by members of the public who are non-Rotarians. They also have a relationship with World Community Service in Australia and are able to collect money that might be going to Australia for disaster relief projects over there, or vice versa, money from Australia will come to Rotary New Zealand World Community Service to support programs in New Zealand. They also do work on international development, and they're able to access money from the New Zealand Ministry for Foreign Affairs for projects, and those are usually fairly sizable projects, and they're currently working on one that would be supporting the development of science in Samoa. So there's, lots going on. And if you want to know about some projects that you could get involved in or learn more, you can go to that website. So my questions to you as incoming presidents or leaders in your clubs, or whether you're AGs, is what international service projects are you involved in now? How might you expand your support or explore new opportunities in international service? And maybe you have expertise or resources in your club, maybe in your club or with individuals in your club, that you can utilize or offer to support another club's project. Because we all know stuff, but we can't always use that right now in our own clubs. But maybe there's some way we can help other clubs or another project. And I'd also say a challenge to our area governors: could you consider a project that your club cluster could collaborate on? Maybe there's a really great project that one of your clubs is doing, but as a cluster, you could run a fundraiser event to support that project. Or maybe each club has got expertise or resources that they can pull to make a project happen. So there's lots of ideas there that I think that are very simple, don't actually involve necessarily money, but they do involve thinking and collaboration and communication with each other to maybe utilize those networks that we've already got within our district. So my plea to you, if you have an idea or you need help with a project, just ask. Benita's already said we have a district team in all sorts of areas, and they just need to be contacted to ask. There's no question too simple that you can't ask. And if you've got some project stories, please tell us about them. Put them in your club communications, send them for the district newsletters, whether it be regional or RI websites. It could be Rotary Oceania's website. But we do lots of good stuff, but we don't always hear about it. So, and projects is a great way for people to learn about Rotary and perhaps explore Rotary as a member. And finally, some resources. There's websites that you can go to learn about some of the things I've mentioned. There are some courses on the Rotary Learning Centre about international service and how to run great projects. And of course, if you need any advice or help from me, my email address is up there, and there's an underscore between Brysedale and JA. But I'm usually at my computer most days, so emails are great, or a phone call. So any way I can help, please do so. And that's me. Very quick.
Hi, everyone. Do we have any final questions for Jeanette? Can't see anything on the chat. Well, thank you so much, Jeanette, for your informative presentation on international service. And for our incoming presidents and executive board members, international service is a great way to make that connection and work together on the district level. If anybody needs more information or has an idea, like Jeanette mentioned, to get a joint project going or assist with existing projects, you can reach out to Jeanette or leave a message in the chat and we will help connect you. Okay, with that said, Edith, we're going straight into regionalization. All right, our next presentation will be presented by Ingrid Wall, who will be presenting an update on the efforts and progress made for our Zone 8 regionalization pilot project. Ingrid was a past district governor from 2018 to 2019. She is also a past New Zealand SPEDS L&D chair, and she is currently the co-chair for the Zone 8 Regionalization Committee. She is the District Rotary Leadership Institute chair. She is the District 9920 trustee representative for Rose Ups Committee and a member of the Rotary Club of Parnell. Please join me in welcoming Ingrid Wall.
Thank you very much, Kat. Lovely to see a lot of familiar faces on the screen today. So thank you for the opportunity to give you an update on what is happening with regionalization. I hope all of you know what I'm talking about when I talk about regionalization, because this is a project that has been in motion for 4 years. And we're really excited at this point in time because recently we received the final sign-off from the Rotary International Board that will enable us to proceed to implementation of the planning that we have been doing for so long. This project is one of two in the Rotary world. We were given the go-ahead for Zone 8, and Rotary Great Britain and Ireland were also given the go-ahead to continue with their regionalisation pilot. I've actually just spent the weekend with the chair of Rotary Great Britain and Ireland's regionalisation, so we've shared a lot of ideas. We think that this project is a huge investment in the future of Rotary, in innovation, and it's not just for Zone 8, but it's actually for the rest of the Rotary world. Many, many people are interested in what we're doing, in what regionalisation means for us, and what it might mean for them in other parts of the world. It's also implementing the Rotary International Action Plan, especially the pillar of increasing our ability to adapt. So as Kat said, I'm actually now the chair of the steering group. We've restructured the way that the pilot is operating, and I'm chairing the steering group. Then from the 1st of July, another person, a current DG from Australia, is going to become the chair, but I will continue with my co-chair from Melbourne so that we have that continuity. Thanks, John. Now, I know Jeanette just mentioned who we are in Zone 8, and this is a map of who we are and where we are. I'm sure you're familiar with it. We are only a small part of the Rotary International world, but because of our diversity with 16 countries and the fact that we're willing to try new things, we really are a good testing ground for a new concept, for a new way of operating. And I will add that we have enormous support from Rotary International staff and work very closely with them. So what got us, the next one, thanks, John. What got us started looking at adopting a regional model? I was a member of the district governor group in when was it? It was actually in 2018. November 2018, we were all together and we agreed unanimously to ask the Rotary International Board if we could proceed and look at regionalisation as a pilot. So it's been going a long time, but this is what triggered it. This graph represents the decline in membership in our zone over the past 10 years. And what's also notable is that during that period of time, when our membership has declined 23%, the population across the board has actually increased by 20%. So that, you know, we know that there are many opportunities to grow Rotary, but it's been very difficult for many reasons to do that. Every district governor has tried, has addressed this issue. So there have been lots of efforts. What we realized is that we needed to do something quite different. So, as I said, those governors petitioned the Rotary International Board to begin planning. Yep, you can go over there. Thanks, John. Regionalisation isn't a quick fix answer to the many challenges we're facing. You know, we're facing challenges like having difficulty attracting leaders, like getting our voice out into the community to profile the projects we do and tell our stories. It's hard for businesses and governments to build partnerships, and you know, our leadership changes every year, so it's hard to get that kind of continuity. And we know that volunteers, especially younger volunteers, but many even older volunteers, are looking for a different type of volunteering experience. So regionalisation is about enabling us to take more responsibility for the way Rotary operates in our region. It's about focusing on supporting clubs and members in the areas that they currently find challenging. It's giving us an opportunity to think about how we can work differently to support clubs and members. For example, how can we support clubs to attract new members and retain the members that they have, especially in the first 2 or 3 years, which is when many leave. We're also looking at what we might do nationally and regionally, and how we might collaborate more effectively. What could we adapt to suit our local needs, our different cultures, our different environments that our clubs exist in? And how can we also provide you as clubs, and especially as club leaders, with access to really good expertise to help you with the things that you're trying to achieve. So when we started the project, thanks, John, back in 2018, we spent a lot of time thinking about what are we trying to achieve and what are the key areas that we want to deliver in. We developed a clear vision and purpose, which was about transformation with our clubs and members heart and center, so that clubs are supported to provide the kinds of experiences that will keep members engaged and attract new ones. And of course, deliver service into our communities, which is what we want to do, and ultimately to grow Rotary. So there are 5 key areas that we're focusing on. We want to take a planned and coordinated approach to speak with one voice in our marketing and public relations, whether that's regionally, nationally, or locally. We also want to focus on identifying and implementing partnerships that will bring profile for Rotary, opportunities for projects, and funding that can benefit communities. This will also enable our clubs to connect and collaborate. So Jeanette's example just now around projects and twinning clubs or areas is the kind of thing that we're also encouraging through regionalisation. And we're looking at doing it in new ways. We also aim to have a longer term strategy so that it will go beyond just the 1-year cycle, and the capacity and capabilities to adapt to meet the different needs, circumstances, and cultural aspects of our part of the world, as well as catering for, new types of volunteering experiences. We think we can tailor our programs and our support and our resources in a more coordinated way that will really provide even more support to clubs and enable clubs to get access to expertise. We're also looking at, it's not a one size fits all Rotary. We want a Rotary where we take the very best aspects and adapt them. And we also aim to improve efficiencies, use technology more effectively, automate some processes, reduce duplications, and ultimately we want to reduce costs. And we want to provide clubs with access to expertise, to resources, and make the leadership roles that we need and that will exist more attractive and doable, so they don't look daunting to people wanting to take them on. Of course, we are part of Rotary International. Thanks, John. So we are, whenever we look at change, we look at the things that we want to change, but we also look at what are the things that must not change. And as members of Rotary International, we will continue to be guided by these core elements of Rotary. They won't be touched. Our values remain. Our values have been consistent for a really long time. The 4-way test, what Rotary is here to do, the 7 areas of focus, and our Rotary Action Plan, all of these actually will be guiding our regionalisation pilot and not being changed in themselves. So there are some core assumptions that underpin the approach that we're taking to this pilot. We are exploring, testing, and developing our approach as we progress. The starting model is a concept governance structure we need something to start with. So so that will be the beginning of the pilot. And then we'll assess whether it's delivering the outcomes that we're looking for when we think back to the 5 objectives over a 3-year period. We also are very much focusing on support for clubs and members, whether it's Rotary or Rotaract. We have Rotaract represented in our pilot as well as Rotary. And then this concept of one voice is about building relationships with governments, with corporates, with other charitable organizations, so that we are seen as a credible and an important partner that they want to work with. We think this will in turn grow our public profile and our voice, and will provide access to opportunities for projects, for resources, and for funding. So what got us to here, just a tiny bit of background. In 2019, as I said, we started to develop the plan and the project structure. Taking a bottom-up approach, we've connected with hundreds of Rotary and Rotaract members, and literally thousands of volunteer and staff hours have contributed to get us to this point. Key to getting us here was support from the Rotary International Board. I think I've presented to them about 4 times now. And a really important milestone was in October 2021, when they gave us their in-principle support to proceed. That had some conditions attached, and they were that we got approval at the Council on Legislation in April 2022, which would enable the board to supervise a pilot project of more than 1,000 clubs. We couldn't have done it without that enactment, and we got that. So thank you to Alan Eyes, who I know is on the call, because he was instrumental in helping that happen. Secondly, we had a club vote. You'll probably all recall, we did that back in September last year. More than 90% of our clubs across the zone voted yes to proceeding with a pilot to look at how we can bring about significant change. It wasn't a vote for a structure, it was a vote to proceed with the pilot. So we had a pretty clear indication that clubs want change. And then just in April this year, the Rotary International Board has given us their final approval to proceed. So that was a very exciting day when we got that approval. And they are providing us with financial support, particularly for the first year of the pilot, but in principle for all 3 years, so that we can get started and move initially into the establishment phase and then into implementation next year. So now I'm going to show you a bit about the proposed structure and the regional model. Conceptually, the new model recognizes the central role of members, clubs, projects, and programs in Rotary, and how these elements have impact in our communities. So you'll see 3 roles here and the 3 smaller circles. The Regional Council will provide the governance, strategy, and representation for the whole region. So the region is Zone 8 that I showed you before. To support our clubs, we have 2 roles. First of all, we have the Rotary Community Leader role, and these are leaders who will be elected from the group of clubs that they will support, which is called a community. So a community is a group of clubs that have something in common. It might be geography, that they all happen to be in a geographical area. It might be a cause that they are supporting. It might be the way they operate. So for example, e-clubs might decide they want to form their own community. There will be guidance coming to clubs through presidents and the governors, obviously, as to how that will work. That guidance will be coming a little bit later this year. We currently are anticipating around 100 community leaders, each with sort of maybe 10 clubs to support, but there will be variations in different parts of our zone. So that it is going to be worked out, and we're consulting very closely with the members of the governor train. So that's the nominees, the elects, and the current governors. We consult very closely with them on a regular basis. The other role that's there to support clubs is the specialist support network. So these are Rotarians and Rotaractors who are the best of the best in their field and will be available to all clubs. We're anticipating there'll be a database that people can access. The community leaders will be trained in how to find access and who these people are. But any one of you and anyone in your club can either self-nominate or be nominated to become part of that specialist network. And then, of course, we are supported by and work very closely with Rotary International staff, both in Sydney and in Evanston. As I mentioned before, they've been integrally involved in the project to date and will continue to do so. And some of the funding that we have received from Rotary International is for additional staff in the Sydney office to support this regionalisation pilot. So it's a member-centric model designed to help clubs to focus on delivering to their communities and providing an engaging experience for members. So let's have a look then at the proposed governance model. The regional council will be led by a chair who will be elected, supported by a chair-elect, and each of these roles will be 2 years. They will work very closely with 6 portfolio leads and will also be a key liaison with Rotary International globally and locally. They'll also be a key liaison with district governors because districts are remaining for the duration of the pilot. The proposed 6 portfolio chairs will have an important role leading committees to deliver outcomes that will support clubs in each of the 6 areas of expertise that they represent. So those areas, those 6 portfolios include diversity, equity and inclusion, leadership and development and events, membership, public image, projects, which will include the foundation, and service and strategy. Rotary and Rotaract and community leaders will also have nominees representing their interests on the regional council. And then, given the nature of our zone, the special representation for our diverse countries in a committee of country representatives working with the chair-elect. So that's called the Multinational Advisory Committee. And the purpose of that is to ensure that the regional council hears the voice of our diverse communities and that we are able to engage appropriately with the different countries that make up our zone. And you'll see that chair-elect also has responsibility for the other entities like ROSOPS in New Zealand, like Rotary Down Under magazine, Rotary Australia Community Service, Australian Rotary Health, and so on. All of these roles will be open to any Rotarian or Rotaractor who meets the skills and experience requirements for the role. You do not have to be a past governor or a past area governor or a past president to apply for these roles. Any one of you may. There will be more information coming out later in probably around the middle of this year around that nomination and selection process. As I said, for the duration of the pilot, districts will remain and governors will continue to provide support to clubs, But what will happen is gradually some of the functions that are delivered 20 times over in 20 districts will be transferred from districts to the regional structure, and governors are having a significant say in that, which ones go first. They may not all transfer at once. The Rotary Foundation is a special case. So because the foundation is so important, that we have made the decision that it will remain with districts for the duration of the pilot, and a dedicated working group is looking at what changes might be needed to operate effectively within a regional model while making sure that there is no negative impact on giving or grants or projects. So that's the structure. The community leader role, thanks John, is a really important role in the pilot. As I said, they'll be elected from the group of clubs they are part of to support and mentor their club leaders and members. Excuse me, the role is to assist clubs to collaborate as they provide service. It's also will lead clubs in helping them to focus on engagement with their communities, within their clubs, between clubs, as they focus on providing service. They'll also support and assist clubs to deliver on Rotary's priorities and help clubs to achieve their goals by providing advice and meaningful input. They'll also help clubs access channels of support, whether that's locally, regionally, through Rotary International or the Rotary Foundation. It's a leadership role without managerial or administrative responsibility. So it is going to need people who have a high level of leadership acumen, the ability to work with people and while being aware and sensitive to the fact that each club is autonomous, has its own culture, and we have a real diversity of clubs, even within that community. It's not a reporting relationship, so clubs won't report to the community leader. It's very much the community leader is there to support and mentor the clubs. And as I said, it's not a governor, it's not a management role. It has very little administrative responsibility. Now, when we look at the timeline for the pilot, what I would like to show you next are some of the key milestones that that you can expect to see. Thanks, John. So you can imagine over 4 years, there has been a lot of planning and a lot of communication. So these here are some of the key milestones. This year, we have changed the establishment structure for the pilot so that we have a steering group. Rotary International has provided 2 project managers to work with us. And there is a number of pilot establishment teams that are working on specific areas. There are 10 people out of our district alone who are working in these establishment teams. As well as that, we have a monitoring and evaluation team, which is somewhat at arm's length from the pilot because they need to objectively assess whether the pilot is delivering the outcomes that we're wanting it to. So they have been established, and their first task is to establish the baseline from against which they will measure our progress. So the first key point of transition is the establishment of the Regional Council on the 1st of January 2024. And we're aiming for that to be up and running at that point. So to get there, the key steps will be identifying which functions will initially transfer to the Regional Council, calling for nominations and subsequently selecting the members of the Regional Council, and then training all of those Regional Council members in their new roles. Midway through 2024, 1 July 2024, so the beginning of the next Rotary year, we're anticipating that the Rotary community leader roles will start up, as will the Rotary specialist roles. And they will also work closely with the district governors and their and any teams that they may have. And the idea of delaying that to the middle of the year is to give time for the regional council to really get established. The timing enables us then to have a 2-year pilot. So we're a year, the first year is really establishing and getting the regional council up and running. From 1 July 2024 to 30th of June 2026 is our 2-year full-on pilot of testing and adapting. And, we expect that the role of governors will adapt over that time. Throughout all of this, there will be significant communication and consultation and opportunities for you to have your say and to ask questions and find out more. At the end of the pilot, there will be a vote where clubs will be able to decide whether the structure that is in place at the end of the pilot is the way that we wish to proceed. And of course, there will be a final assessment of how well we are meeting those objectives. We will be reporting to the RI board twice a year throughout this period. So what will it mean for members? Well, we're aiming to reduce administration and simplify communication so that clubs have more time to spend on projects. There is less cost, and by providing direct access to support and development opportunities that we intend to make the leadership roles more attractive and doable. Through One Voice and partnerships, you'll see the opportunities. We anticipate more opportunities to get involved in some bigger projects, to get more support, potentially more funding from sources outside of Rotary. And overall, what we want to do, especially through collaboration, is to have much greater impact in our communities. So how can you get involved? This is second to last. First up, this is the official website. So I will note that the one that's in your program actually is now out of date. So this is the official website, creatingtomorrowrotary.org. You can go there, you can have your say. There's a button you can click on and you can send us any comments, thoughts, questions. There is also a direct email called rotaryregionalpilot@gmail.com. Anybody can email us and you'll get a reply, whether it's a question, a comment, or a suggestion. So we do encourage you to get involved, to keep up to date, and particularly as leaders of your clubs, to share with your clubs. So overall, if we go now, John, to the last slide, we think this really is an opportunity for Rotary globally, as well as in Zone 8, to demonstrate that we can change, that we can adapt. It will be our ability to adapt to a changing world that's going to enable us to deliver to the promise of our RI action plan and to our vision statement, if you could just click, John, and help us grow Rotary in our zone. We firmly believe we have to do something different. So this is our opportunity to try something different, to open our minds up to new ways of doing things. So I will end there. And Edith, I don't know, or Kat, have we got time for questions, or are you going to just, I've got a couple of questions which I didn't put on the slide, sorry, but for people to discuss when they're in their breakouts if they wish. So over to you in terms of timing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ingrid. Yeah, we'll go straight into questions and answer sessions. If anybody has any questions.
So feel free to ask anything and I will do my best to answer it. Maybe use your hands.
Yeah, we're just going to keep a lookout on the chat as well as the screen. Any part-time. And Ingrid, you are available to come to clubs as well.
Yes, I am. Yep, I
non-Zoom
am.
meetings.
Yep.
So there are club leaders, book her in.
And there may be others in the, I haven't talked to Vanita about this, so about with, you know, who else she's planning to have in her region. I think Alan Smith is going to be part of your regionalisation committee as well. So, you know, most of the districts around our zone are putting in place a regionalisation committee of people who will be a key conduit of information. But I will say, you, as those of you who are presidents of your clubs, please look out for regular communications. You'll be receiving one this week. And the idea is that we ask you to share that with your club as an update of what's happening. And we expect to do this every 1 to 2 months so that you're regularly informed.
Okay, perhaps I can just ask one part that maybe everyone's thinking.
Yeah.
The time that this is going to take within our lives as Rotarians and Rotaractors. This is to simplify the comms trail. I know we've got people on this call this afternoon that says we get so many emails, Edith, that we just delete. So my question really to you, Ingrid, how does the simplification, do you think, will look for our members?
So one of the, as you said, one of the things that, particularly as a club president, is you feel like often you're bombarded with emails and things. We've had a working group looking at internal communication for quite some time. And that is now, there's an establishment team looking at it. They are looking at ways where particularly any information that's coming from the zone, so that includes from Rotary International, from our office in Sydney, because there are many newsletters and things. How can we ensure that they are coordinated? And also, how can we use technology more effectively so that it isn't just a bombardment of email? There'll also be, I think, as we move forward, thinking about our own approach to how we do things, thinking how can I communicate more effectively and efficiently so that I'm not having to do quite so much, but also other people aren't being. So I think it's for club members and presidents. I don't anticipate a lot of additional work because regionalisation is going on, but they will, as you say, receive more communication. We have a communication matrix where our communication is planned out for the whole period of, certainly for the next year. And the idea is to make sure we're really clear about what goes to whom when, and it's not just random and constantly happening. So we're starting to model that behaviour through the pilot itself, and that will help inform us, I think.
Thank you, Ingrid. At 2:56, if there isn't any other questions for Ingrid, I'm going to get you to go to your break. But before we do that, we thought we would take a poll that's gone up. So if we can do that now. Fantastic. A lot of information from Jeanette and Ingrid in this session.
Yeah, there wasn't much time for questions, sorry. But
That's
there's
okay.
a lot.
Okay, we've got up to 23. I think we're going to end our poll there, and I'm going to share. While I'm sharing and you're having a look at that, can we all put our cameras on, because I need to have evidence that actually we've delivered LEDS 2023 for the purpose of just making sure we have all the beautiful faces of our district you know, on this recording, and more importantly, so that we can share that around Zone 8 to know, and of course, future Rotarians in this space. Perfect. We love volunteering at any age. So we are kindly accepting all of these new people in the space. So I'm wondering, John, if we can do that?
Just waiting to see who's listening.
Okay. Oh, camera's on. Thanks, Fano. I'm going to take the share off. And we've got 2 pages of us.
Well, I can squeeze it into one, so that's all good.
You are just superb. Okay, at 2:58, we're going to a break, and we're going to come back at just before 3:10 because we've got Alan Eyes on here, and he is going to be into the money honey aspect of our sessions, and we all know how interesting and important that is as part of Rotary and Rotarians. So everyone go and have a break. Whaiaki Nei will be back at 3, just before 3:10. Thank you.
Yeah, John, I'll have an.
I can see you. Yeah.
Yes, I am here, Edith. You ready for me to get underway?
I am ready for the 3:10 session on our District Finance and Administration, Club Finance and Treasury, delivered by Alan Eyes. Thank you very much, Alan.
All right, and good evening or good afternoon again, all. And I'm pleased to see that from the number count, we haven't lost more than 1 or 2, Edith, over the break. Because while this is,
Alan, they're waiting for you.
While this is headed Club Finance and Treasury, it's important for all club leaders and, for that matter, AGs, and particularly club presidents, because there is a wider responsibility here. So firstly, an apology from Glynis Carter, who's our District Finance Officer. She can't be with us, so you've just got my dulcet tones for the session. This is very much an intro session. Some of you will have heard a lot of this before. Some will be able to contribute and lead to the breakout sessions, which is good. But I just ask everybody to keep in mind that things do change, and particularly around administration and finance matters, they seem to get more complicated by the year. I don't claim to know it all, but if any questions or comments come up, we're only too happy to take those on board and come back to you if they can't be answered today. So as I said a minute ago in the intro, as club leaders, everybody needs to be aware that there is a responsibility in terms of the club's finances, and this is both the club, charitable trusts, there's taxation considerations, and incorporated societies requirements. There are responsibilities to district around dues and a few other things, to Rotary International in terms of dues, and if your club happens to have a grant from foundation, then there are reporting and other responsibilities there as well. So the treasurer needs to manage the club's finances and ensure good stewardship. And, particularly if you're new coming into this role, don't hesitate to stand up and question and make sure the board is aware of what needs to be done and done properly. And this responsibility doesn't just start on the 1st of July and finish on the 30th of June. There is preparation, and some of that is obviously important in terms of the learning. And then at the end of the term, there's end of year financial statements and hand over to your successor. Now, we need to keep in mind the club structure, and in New Zealand, all our clubs are incorporated societies, which is extremely important that we maintain that to ensure a limited liability status for the organisation and the members, and in particularly the officers. There is a new Incorporated Societies Act that was passed last year, and it's fair to say that took many years through MB to get to that stage, and all the regulations still aren't in place. So you will hear more discussion on that. In that regard, an updated club constitution template is currently being finalised, and that will incorporate changes that came out of the April 2022 Council on Legislation. Also, some income tax issues or comments that have arisen from the IRD for 2 or 3 clubs in our district that take some minor tweaking to the constitutions. And as I mentioned, it's already incorporates some of the updated incorporated societies provisions, and thanks to Craig Horrocks for leading this work. I emphasize that while we may look at ourselves and our purposes and our operations as charitable, we're not charitable entities per se, and therefore it's important that any money we raise outside the circle of membership from fundraising, etc., that this money is donated to a registered charity before the 30th of June. Otherwise, a situation arises with regard to accessible income. And if it's done properly, there is a $1,000 threshold there. But this is a serious matter, and we're actually working through with one of our smaller clubs now in the district, who unfortunately missed following this this rule, and there is a tax liability there with penalties and interest because they hadn't filed their returns either. So do take this very, very seriously. Most of the clubs have a charitable trust, and that's of course where the money gets donated to take care of those activities that we're talking about. Some of our clubs are registered for GST, and as I say, can be subject to income tax unless certain criteria are met. Now, the charitable trust is a totally separate entity from the club, and trustees can be personally liable. And that's why we strongly recommend that activities, fundraising activities, other events that your club undertakes are run under the auspices of the club, not under the auspices of the club. So run them under the trust, run them under the club, and then any funds, donate those and distribute those through your charitable trust. So in terms of the treasurer's role, many on the call won't be new to it, but we probably will have some people that do. So make sure you get an adequate debrief from your successor. Get to understand the processes and systems. No point reinventing the wheel if what you've got now and has been operating for a number of years works well. It's very, very important you work closely with the club president, the secretary, and the board, and that they stay fully informed. You keep them fully informed on finances, but likewise, you keep yourself fully informed on the matters that the club's doing. A number of clubs will already have their annual budget process and member subscription process underway, but if not, that's obviously an important thing to have completed before we get to the 1st of July. You probably will have the responsibility for invoicing and collecting all monies that are due. And what I'd emphasize there, if there is still cash used, make sure you get it into the bank promptly. In terms of paying for the outgoings, ensure that they're duly authorised and that you have adequate documentation to support the payments that you work. Things are a little bit different now without checks, but do make sure whatever payment mechanisms that you've got set up, that it's a dual signatories type arrangement. Become familiar with the software that is being used. Maybe just a spreadsheet, that's fine. If it meets your club's needs, it may be zero. Club Runner and Flectra do have financial aspects to them. I'm not sure whether anybody's using them for that, or certainly not aware whether Flectra is being used for that. Flectra is a topic that you've probably heard about and is in the process of replacing Club Runner. That's not a discussion for today, although it might be of interest to many on the call. Kirsten Hawke will be covering that off in the secretary session next week. So as treasurer, you have the responsibility to provide financial reports to the board. Just talk through, think what information is actually necessary and how often. Ensure that the profits from fundraising are donated to a registered charitable trust before the end of June. I keep emphasising that. At the end of the financial year, make sure you prepare the annual accounts promptly. And your club bylaws will set out whether these need to be audited or independently reviewed. And that's important for the club, but also for the officers of the club so that there aren't any questions that come up some years down the track as to whether those accounts were accurate or not. Make sure you file and pay any income tax and GST returns on time. File your annual return on the incorporated societies to the incorporated societies registered by due date, and that's 1 month after your club AGM. And work with the club, with the trust treasurer, and that may or may not be yourself as club treasurer. Ensure you know which hat you're wearing when you are carrying out those respective respective jobs. Now, if you're the trust treasurer, many of the same things, but just as I say, I emphasise that the trust treasurer is a distinct responsibility from club treasurer, even if you're both those people. Again, make sure that you're fully briefed coming in, understand the processes. What the trust deed says is absolutely paramount for the trustees. Make sure you do receive receipts or acknowledgement of charitable donations. And if you are receiving donations, make sure those are appropriately acknowledged to who's provided those funds to you. Again, make sure that outgoings are duly authorised and properly documented and signed off. Provide financial reports to the trustees and prepare annual accounts that meet the not-for-profit accounting standards. Again, have these audited or independently reviewed as per your trust deed. You're probably going to be exempt from income tax and probably not registered for GST, but just something to note. And again, file your annual return on the charities register by the due date, that is 31st of December. Now, we are due to have some discussion there. So Edith, I don't know whether you want to break for that now, or considering you probably want to make up 10 minutes, whether you want to keep going and this perhaps gets held over into the discussion groups in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think if we go into breakout groups after this point, Alan, would be more convenient. Thank you.
Okay. So just keep in mind, discussion group leaders, that to talk through, are you confident you have an understanding of the role? Do you need any further support? Where can you get that if necessary? So here, and these slide packs will no doubt be distributed, are the learning resources that are available, both on the RI Learning Centre, Club Runner. We've got some documents up there, a Treasurer's Manual, and likewise an email or a phone call to Glynis, Carter or myself. We're only too happy to help answer any questions or point you in the right direction. Now, we covered this off in the annual meeting or the special general meeting at the start if you were here, but this will give you the district and RI levy information that you'll need for your budgets. So RI dues have increased by $4 US for the year. The RDU magazine subscription has increased 20 cents, both for the print and the digital version. Our district levies have remained the same. And just to note that the invoicing for our RI, or for the district, for the RI dues are what the membership says at the 1st of July and the 1st of January. The district dues are an annual levy, and we base that again on what your membership is on the 1st of July. So it is important that the membership information is up to date by the 30th of June. If you've got any members that are thinking of resigning or retiring, make sure that it gets in so they don't get caught in those numbers on the 1st of July. Just a reminder that RI dues can now be paid in New Zealand dollars to an RI New Zealand bank account, and Glynis includes that information on the invoice that comes out. And likewise, please consider in your budget donations to the Rotary Foundation, both annual giving and Polio Plus. And Steve will probably talk about this in the foundation session, but Glynis emphasises that they do like to have that money come in by November each year. Club insurance, just briefly on that, it's one of those very complicated areas again, and a lot of work's been done there, once again led by Craig Horrocks, to tidy that up. Now, just be aware that we're back onto an annual district policy basis, and the district pays the basic insurance cover for your club. There's no separate cover for the liability risks that come under two master policies, and that's the association cover and the public liability. And please also note that this does include your club trust. I emphasize here it's one trust. I'm aware that some clubs, particularly the larger clubs, might have several trusts that they look after, but the club trust as such does get included under this association cover that's had. Do please keep in mind that the cover doesn't extend to events, and a trigger point there at least to think about to cover off is if you're charging an entry fee to the public. So it is important that if you're not quite sure how that might work, that it is checked out, and the insurances are administered through RosOps, and Kirsten will be happy to help you there. Also bear in mind that there is no what we call material damage or movables policy. All clubs were circulated with the option of a global policy that would cover our regalia and chains and those things. There was very, very little notice of those who wanted to take that up, so that policy hasn't proceeded. So if you've got some valuable items within your club, assets, etc., that's not something that is covered. As I said, the insurance process is now managed by a national team, and while I may or may not be able to help if there's any specific questions today, the best thing is to go onto that website there, raise a help desk ticket, or look in the frequently asked questions, and that will hopefully help you find the answers. So some discussion once again for your breakout is what reports should you supply to the board and how often? And no doubt there'll be people in your chat group that will be able to speak from experience there as to what works for them. Dealing with club money and charitable fundraising, the processes need to be robust and transparent. What safeguards do you have in your club to ensure that the club funds are appropriately accounted for? And we'll perhaps keep any final questions and comments to after you come back from the breakout group. Back to you, Edith.
Thanks very much, Alan. Lots of information in there, and feel free in your breakout groups. We'll go for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. Ask the questions, and let's bring those back to share when we come back before we finish off the session just before 4 o'clock. So let's go into breakout rooms. Thanks, John. So our group can go into any of those rooms, so you can choose. John's put that up, so you can join room 1, room 2, room 3 or 4, so that might be useful. Ellen, if you want to put yourself into a group or not.
For some reason, Karunesh is not joining when he's supposed to be assigned. That seems a bit odd, but anyway.
I haven't got an option here to join. Doesn't seem to
No,
be.
you're not a
Oh, okay, right.
I can
well, look, if it's only 10 to 15, if it's only 10 minutes, you can circulate me if you want. Otherwise, I'm quite happy just to sit it out, whichever works, John.
I've just made you a co-host, so it's your choice.
Okay.
Well, actually,
Okay.
I've made one of you a co-host. I'm not sure which one.
Okay.
I assume it's LNI's, not 9920 LNI's, although
Yeah, that'll be
9920
right.
was the one that was sharing screen. I'm going to actually stop your
Okay.
screen sharing too.
Oh, okay. Rightio. I can
So-
stop that.
No, you can
so-
stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
And
any
I'll-
want to go into a room, or if any of us want to go into a room, Steve Cheney might like to go into a room.
I better make Steve a co-host as well.
Yeah.
And Vidya.
Our team might like to. So yeah, just join yourself into somewhere. Oh, who's gone out?
I'm off. I'm getting in my TARDIS and I'm off to room 5.
Okay, you do that.
Okay, off you go. Perfect.
While that's happening, I'm going to pause recording.
Okay, just waiting for us all to come back in. Beautiful. Well done, Fano. 33, back in the room. Okay, so let's get some feed in from our breakout groups, breakout rooms, and I'm thinking I'd like to start with group 1. If there's anyone that has got anything to feed back from your group, a spokesperson in that group. Group 1.
Group 1 was the one that had Andrew Harvey.
Yeah, so we were talking about, I guess we didn't elect ourselves as a spokesperson.
Thank you.
A couple of things that came up in meeting 1, we were talking about, I think the first thing was whether or not we need to fill out the insurance forms, or what is the process to make sure that our clubs are insured. One of the members was talking about they didn't know if the form had been filled out, and whether or not, it's a thing that we're supposed to do annually was one of the first questions. And the second thing that we got to talk to the end there was a bit about if you say ran an event and people were not paying to attend the event, but you were auctioning items or doing a, let's say like a quiz night or something like that, is that event, I guess, what is the threshold by which, you're now no longer covered as an event, I guess, was the interesting question.
Thanks, James. Over to you, Alan.
Yep, thanks for the questions, James. There were forms sent out to all clubs around your insurances, so they will have needed to be completed and sent back up, or sent it back in. What the follow-up is for those who haven't done it, I'm not in a position to answer that, but there was some key information there, I think particularly relating to trusts and activities and your liability cover. So if you suspect your club hasn't filed it, I'd suggest you access that portal that I had up before and put your question in and make sure that what's been done needs to be done. The delineation between what you're covered for and what you're not, my understanding would be likes of a quiz evening that would be covered under the standard public liability policy. But if, for example, you were running, when Pukeko Racetrack was still operating, my club ran, a cycle event and people paid to come and cycle around Pukeko Raceway, etc. That's an event, and that's when event insurance is required. But once again, there's a number of grey areas in the middle there that, if in doubt, before you proceed with that event, just get it clarified.
Sure. Then I guess the follow-up question would be who would be the person at district who would get the list of clubs who haven't submitted their insurance, sort of forms? Because I guess if you think about it, sometimes in clubs it's a bit transient. Somebody might have got the form, might have been an assumption, people filled it out. Surely you would get a list of these people haven't submitted their forms and maybe they need to be notified, by a different way or something like that.
It's all administered nationally now through ROSOPs. So by filling in one of those questions there, but Kirsten Hawke is the operations manager for ROSOP. So she would have a record of who has or hasn't put their forms in. As I say, I'm not familiar with what follow-up is in terms of whether people have or haven't discharged their responsibilities filling out those papers.
And James, Kirsten will talk about that next week as part of that going into Fletcher as well. I've asked her to talk about that. But Alan, the comms would be going to the president and the treasurer, these communications.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, right. We're assuming that's where they come. Right.
We've
Edith,
lost you, Edith.
Edith,
Yeah.
you've muted
You're on
yourself,
mute.
Sonny.
So, any
Yeah.
questions from group 2?
So group 2 was David Bradshaw's group.
That's right. John, would you like to talk about that? You certainly had a lot of answers there. You'll have to unmute yourself though.
Yeah, the standard thing, you're on mute. Okay. Well, obviously we didn't have any treasurers, either incoming or current ones in our group. But as an incoming president, very aware of how little I knew of what goes on behind our current treasurer's computer. Although he does present the books prior to each monthly board meeting, and he does so sufficiently in advance that everybody's expected that they've cast their eye over it. We're also fortunate having a particularly adept backup person as well. So there's a lot of incentive to make sure that you know what the procedures are as a president, because you sort of tend to be, oh well, it's taken care of and all the rest of it. But that is something that I was observing that we need to be doing, particularly if you're in a very comfortable position as we are.
Thanks, John. Okay, group 3. Who was our group 3 participants? And
Joyty's group.
We had a very good question from Margaret Rounds of Lautoka Club, and she wanted to know whether the insurance for projects covered Fiji and the Pacific Islands. And Alan came in and answered the question. Alan, you maybe want to cover it for the rest of the group.
Yeah, Margaret had a couple of very good questions, as Joyty said, and the first one was around insurance. And my understanding with the new basic cover, and I stress basic cover, that it does extend through the district, including the islands, but I will get that clarified, and maybe we need to get a circular note out just so everybody's quite clear. And it also ties back into perhaps James's question, is trying to distinguish so people know where the standard liability cover is going to be applicable and what the trigger point is for moving to something for an events cover. The second question from Margaret was around the tax situation and the charitable situation in Fiji. That's something I'm not aware of, but she's also informed me Lautoka Club, their outgoing president, is their incoming treasurer, who happens to be with PwC. So we're going to catch up and try to clarify some of those situations, at least for Fiji, and perhaps try to circulate that to all of the Fiji clubs. So thank you for those questions, Margaret.
Oh, thank you, Jointy. And the final group, group 5. Was there a group 5?
Group
John?
4. Group 4.
Group 4, sorry, group 4.
That was the group that had Madison in it.
Madison.
And Evelyn.
Any questions from your
And
group?
Evelyn, yep.
Yeah, and Evelyn. Evelyn?
Yeah, ask Madison to talk.
Madison, you're talking. Anything from your group, Madison?
Oh, I just sent a rough line that we talk about whether the regionalization will be helping our some spending membership fee, and together with the club runner, also the replacing Fletcher. Some of our club, as a group, has experimenting the Fletcher. But I think it will be further spread up to all other clubs to experience that, and what's any discrepancy and what sort of a transferring on data and also key documents will be, get people to familiar with that, how they operated, and also the cost will be involving like any transitional or any repeating cost will be involving, because all these will be coming up to the item for everyone on their membership fee as well. And also the inflation for some other spending, like not so much, but at least like a publication of down under, for example. So some little inflation, see like Evelyn's points that which is being addressed, that the membership somehow will be covering many other elements which be part of the membership already. So we have some little considerations there, whether we inflating our member fee or how do we using different payment term. So like what Steve just suggested, Manukau Sunrise, to do this by monthly and like a direct debit for all members. So this sort of payment terms and stuff. So that's what we talk. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions from the floor while Alan's here to answer anything? The Fletcher information will be next week, and Simon will come in and share that information where we're up to, and that is part of our district information. And I've taken down a few questions also for Kirsten around anything that has been brought up at this session. So is there any further questions from people?
Edith, can I just quickly answer on the insurance?
Yes.
Because I was involved in the process. If I give an example, the Martinborough Wine Festival, which is run by Rotary in Wellington, in terms of insurance, you need event insurance. So the event insurance would be for the weather, or a claim they had was they lost power on the day and they had all these concessionaires running businesses and they had an insurance claim. So if you're doing a major event that involves the public or involves renting something, you're going to need event insurance.
Thanks, Immediate Past District Governor Steve. If there's no further questions for Alan, I'm going to send you off on a break, and we're coming back to our final session. Peter Ross and the entire whānau team are coming back in. I'm going to get you to do a poll of our Treasurer's section before you actually head out for your cup of tea. And we're back into that last session just after 4 o'clock, 4:05. Let's aim for that, 4:05 back in the room. Thank you very much, everyone. Going well.
Thank you all. Bye.
Ellie, this one to introduce the following whānau. Thank you, Ursula.
It's all right. Thank you, Edith. I would like to introduce Peter Ross, who is a member of the Rotary Club of Newmarket and is also the District Youth and Young Adults Chair. He will be speaking to us today along with his committee members about youth programs and young adult leaders. Thank you, Peter. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Ursula. Okay, moving on, John. All right, so we just got 3 there, leadership programs. So we'll just move on again. Next one. Okay, just stop there for a second. Now, basically, when we're talking about youth programs in 9920, a lot of it revolves around secondary schools. And this slide here basically shows the way we relate to secondary schools. And it's quite a key that when you're looking at these types of programs, that you come back to this every time. You will see that some of them are very much district programs and some of them are club programs. And the most notable club program is on the bottom left. That's Reading for Enrichment, which I won't be talking about today, but if anybody wants to know about it, they can quite easily just give me a call. Next one, please. Okay, first of all, I'm going to talk about Rotary Youth Protection. You'll note there that Robin Ingram is the YPO for 9920 in this coming year. And Robin has had a baptism last year, and you can contact her, the details are there, for any advice on running a program involving young persons under 18. I'm not going to say any more than that. Just make sure that if you've got a program under 18, contact Robin, clarify what is required. There's no point going into a lot of detail here because each one of them varies quite considerably. Next slide. Okay, basically, youth protection is about safety. It's about our Rotary reputation, and it's about managing risk. Next one. Okay, so protecting youth, that we look at it about on 3 levels. Level 1 is where Rotary is not the primary organizer. Level 2 is where Rotary is the primary organizer, and it's a non-overnight event. Okay, so there's some requirements there. Every volunteer needs to complete the RI learning guide and training module, and that's on the RI website. Most significant one is level 3, is where Rotary is the primary organizer, and it's an overnight event. So a classic example of this is RIPEN, although this also obviously extends to everything to do with youth exchange. And once again, there are different requirements for each, but Robin will talk you through that. So in any event, you've got an issue like this, talk to Robin and she will clarify it for you. Has anybody got any questions on youth protection at this point? Because this is a critical piece of running youth programs. Okay, next slide. Note these small things here. Second point there is avoid one-on-one contact wherever practical. That's the rule of 3. And this is a process which is applied quite often when people are driving in cars. When you're taking young people in cars, make sure that if you're in a car with young people, that's at least 3 in the car, you and 2 young people, or you, a Rotarian, and 1 young person. These are just for your own protection in many cases. The rest of the notes are all on that slide there. I'll move on. Okay, we're going to talk about, hold on a minute, what happens next? I can't find what's going. Next one, Muna. Yeah, this is a
There are a number of build slides in this, yes.
That's right. That's right. Ursula did those for me last time we did it. Didn't you, Ursula? Remember that? And it was always hard for me to manage.
Sorry,
okay, so,
yeah.
I just plagiarized that last one. So basically, here are some of them: Muna, Rider, RIPEN, and Youth Exchange. There are many others as well, but those are just some examples. Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to talk about RIPEN here for a minute. And basically, I know that Josh is available on the slide, so I'm going to ask Josh to say a few words about RIPEN. Josh Simpson is a Rylarian who ran or was one of the organisers of RIPEN this year we've just had, and he is going to be taking sole responsibility for it under the watchful eye of course, Aini Kwok, for next year's RIPEN. Josh, would you like to come on and just say a few words, please?
Hi guys, so my name is Josh. I'm a member of the Auckland Airport Rotary Club. I initially found out of RIPEN through Ryla, and I participated in my first one in 2022, as that one was held late just after Ryla. And this year I was able to help Aini in kind of sorting out logistics and leading our team leaders. So I guess what is RIPEN about? RIPEN's about helping kids from underprivileged areas, one, come to a camp to have fun. The more underlying reason is to help them develop those leadership skills that they have and help them branch out of their shells. For us, that's through many things. This year was the first year that we had our team leaders become facilitators. So that's something we're also looking into. So there were people, our specific leaders were leading the raft building, the archery, the amazing race, things like that. So it was an awesome time, and we try to cater to the kids and bring out leadership qualities that are present, but not fully there yet. And we try to develop them the most that we can with those few days that we have with them, and encourage them to put their best foot forward moving forward.
Okay, thanks very much, Josh. I'm sure if you've got any questions, you can get hold of Josh in the future. His contact details will be available. The biggest thing you need to know here about RIPEN is it's young people out of high school, and make sure your club has a budget for them, and it costs $385 per student. And the rest of it's all there. Nominating somebody for RIPEN, it's a good idea. Okay, moving on, team. Muna, Model United Nations, that's about to come up. That's on the 26th of May this year, just coming. And for those of you who haven't been to Muna, It'll be operating this year at Auckland Girls Grammar. It's on the Friday and the Saturday. It's definitely worth turning up. Everybody gets dressed up. It's very entertaining and it's very, very challenging for a lot of the participants. We've got a full house this year, 90 plus teams. I think it might even be 99. So it'll be a full house. Now, just on that one, next slide, please. Okay, it's at the Dorothy Whitson Centre, as I said, Auckland Girls Grammar. There's a question there, what is the benefit to Rotary for supporting Myrna? I think the benefit there is really around stimulating activity for young people and getting them to enjoy participating at this level. And I've got a question for you all. How many of your club members have ever attended Myrna? And what do they think about it? Because you don't have to answer that question now, but it's very well worth attending. I can tell you that now. And the fee for that is $275 per team. That's up a little bit on previous years, and that is because there is a slight loading on the Auckland team so that we can help fund some of the schools coming particularly from the far north who need a bit of help with their transportation costs, and it just makes it fair and much easier for them to attend. Next slide, please. Rider. Now, Rider, I would normally talk about Rider, but who can talk about Rider when George Wilson is in the room? George, would you like to talk about Rider, but very briefly?
I will be brief. Thank you very much. The main thing with Rider is to be aware of what schools are allocated to you from the from our district list. And Peter, that's something that we need to really stress make sure it's up to date for the clubs. Clubs have only got two duties: one, to provide some money for the actual day as a sponsorship, and two, volunteers as stewards on the day. So generally there's 6 people needed because there's 6 various partitions in the training. Sometimes it's dropped down to 5, but usually it's 6. So we really need to seek out a champion at each club. I encourage all Rotary clubs to, probably it goes a bit further than just simply Rider, but it's a great idea to try and get a champion that's the main contact with the secondary schools that the club is allocated. So it's a great, good idea to do it.
Next slide, John.
And that's it, I think, basically.
Just note the cost of the sponsorship is $1,000. George mentioned the 6 Rotarians.
Yeah, so I'm really easily available. My phone number's there. Happy to talk to anybody at any time about Rider, and thank you very much.
Okay, before we go off that one, just click back again. This is a particularly important program. It's a program which takes a little bit of organizing. That's why if you get a school that you think might be interested in that hasn't been in it before, get in touch with George and he will make sure one of his team can get along there to talk to the school, and they can get the Road Safety New Zealand in the loop as well. So this is a really good program. This program saves lives. Move on. Okay, National Science and Technology Forum. Most of you would know about that. This is run by the 9910 district primarily, and applications will be happening again. Will start this August. This is an important program, and the thing I want to mention to you there is that this has become so popular over the years and is now far, far more inclusive than it used to be, in that we've got a lot of schools coming into this loop who have not participated previously, often what we would have seen as low decile schools previously. And so it is very competitive for spaces. So if your school thinks they're going to get 3 people onto the science forum, they would be the exception. Most schools will not get past 2 students on the science forum. And so this is very worthwhile. This is very much one of our main programs that is run throughout New Zealand, and this is also national, so it runs from Invercargill to the top of the North Island. So that's why this program is particularly valuable. You should be talking to your schools about it. If they don't know about it, then make sure you come back to me and I will make sure I give you somebody who can talk to the school and that will probably be Aini Kwok, as it turns out, who can actually introduce them to this particular exercise. Okay, move on. John Fothergill. John Fothergill gone to sleep.
Sorry, I just had to unmute myself. I've got two hats on. I've changed my hat now. I've changed from tech support to presenter. So I think, as Edith said right at the very beginning of the day, I'm also the chair of the Rotary Youth Exchange Committee and have been for the last 3 years, which has been a bit of a redundant position, given that we haven't been able to exchange in the last 3 years due to COVID restrictions. So we now have the program up and running again. We have 4 students coming into district in July, and we've selected 4 to go out in January next year. So prior to COVID, we had 6. Some of those bridges to districts haven't been rebuilt yet, but we hopefully will build up to 6 or 7 again, as long as we can get the right conditions. So 2 things are really important for youth exchange. One is finding students to send out, because it's an exchange program. For every student that leaves New Zealand, a student needs to come into New Zealand. So it's a balanced equation. And because of that, the students attend secondary schools as local students. And our perennial issues are, one, finding students to go out. And we've just held selection weekend where we had 7 applicants and selected 4. And the next one, which is becoming more and more of a headache, is finding families to host. So we request very strongly that parents who send a student out will host at least 2. So that's 2 3-month periods inbound, but we're left then with a shortfall that needs to be picked up by Rotary. So historically, Rotarians used to host all the time, but now we're getting about 50% Rotary and 50% parents of other exchange students hosting. So 2 things, and if there was anybody on the call from Waiheke Island, I'd like to give them a big rap, because I sent an email out when the program was being restarted, and somebody from Waiheke went along and spoke to Waiheke High School, and I think I got 6 people contacted me after that, really interested in the youth exchange program. We got 2 applicants from Waiheke as a result. So all it takes is for someone to go and speak to the school, spend an hour or half an hour in front of an assembly and talking to interested people afterwards, and the program will be a lot stronger, I think. But more than happy for clubs to call me. I would love clubs to volunteer to host and also to sponsor students going out.
Lovely. Thanks very much, John. Next slide, please. This is one of those ones that stacks itself, I think.
Yes, it is.
This is about other programs that are supported by district. You'll see them all there. There's a whole swag of things. And even that list does not give all of the ones we're involved in. So we'll go next slide, please. And this is the Young Tutor Award. Now, I'm not going to talk to this because Aini Kwok's on this today. So Aini, you can talk about the Young Tutor Award, please.
Okay, so the Young Tutor Award is basically awarded to young adults that we can identify within our community or the schools that have done way above what work in the community services. We have our first Young Tutor Award recipient back in 2020 was a girl from Berridine College. And last year we awarded one to Rose Hill College. So this year we're looking for someone, or the clubs could nominate any student or anyone in the community under 21 years of age who have done above what an ordinary person, service over self, basically. And it's a wonderful award to recognize the young person for the good work they've done.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Aini. So Aini, don't wait a minute. If somebody wants to get involved with this exercise, a club, for instance, they should contact you.
Correct. Anyone who wants to know a bit more about the Young Tutor Award, give me a call or email me, and I'll give you all the details on what to do and how to get this across to the school. This is basically another tool for you, for the clubs to go back to the school, almost, to get engaged with the school.
Okay, it's lovely. All right, next slide. And Aini, you can stay on to do your talk about Interact.
Okay, this is one of my passion, Interact clubs. I've been a district chair last year, and once again, this coming Rotary year. Interact clubs, we've got a bit of a resurgence at the moment now to Ripon. Just about majority of them turn up at Ripon, and it was wonderful. And we decided that we were going to do a combined Interact Club project, which was the New Zealand Blood Drive this week, but unfortunately we had to cancel it due to teachers' strike. So we will be looking at it again in August, and hopefully there'll be no strike by then. So any clubs who are keen to
Next
start
slide,
an
John.
Interact club, yeah, just give me a call.
No, not that far.
The other part, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, look, I need to put a note in here too, if I may. Aini has done a remarkable job of reactivating, re-energizing Interact. And this is one of the key entry points for Rotary to connect with schools. And if you have a connection with a school that has an Interact club or that may want one, please get in touch with Aini and see if she can help you, because she has quite a large and extensive contact base with some of these schools. And it extends to other Rotarians across our district as well. So this is a particularly good program, and I want to say thank you very much to Aini for what you've been doing. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Next slide. Okay, we come to RILA. Okay, well, RILA is quite well known to a lot of people, and it's a full flight. It's planning now for the last week in June. Actually, it turns out, and I've just confirmed today we've just got over about 115 people on the list at the moment, so we're nearly full, and we had a couple coming over the weekend as well. So interest is reasonably high, although funnily enough, small medium enterprises are struggling with sending candidates to RILA now because it's hard to keep them keep the companies going when you send people off to RILA. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's good. I'm not going to go through all this. This gives you a list. Basically, the budget for this year or next year, I think it's around 1150 plus GST. The only thing I would say to you, if you're interested in putting candidates on RILA, find good candidates. Don't just put them off because you're not sure if you've got enough funding. Always come back to me if you've got good candidates, and I will see if I can find funding for them. The biggest challenge in all these things is to make sure you've got good candidates. So anybody's got any questions about RILA, I'm very available for inquiry. The other thing I should say too is if you've got candidates coming to RILA this year, try and make sure that you turn up, at least one or two of you, for the annual dinner, or the final dinner. Sorry, not annual dinner, the final dinner. And while I'm on that point, if I go all the way back to one of the earlier things we talked about, with Josh Simpson talked about, and that's Ripon. That's another one too. If you've got students going to Ripon, or your club is involved in Ripon, try and get some of your Rotarians, just a couple, to go out to Ripon, to touch it and see what it looks like, and just participate, even for just a couple of hours. You will find it a very, very stimulating experience, and the organisers will very much value the support that you give. So I'll move on now. Next slide. Okay, now this is for the people in the Pacific. Stuart Littlejohn's not here tonight, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Rota Pacific. Now we are reenacting Rota Pacific again this year, and we have 3 candidates coming out of Fiji. Rota Pacific is a vocational program for people from the islands to come down to New Zealand for 2 weeks. The first week is vocational, and where you are staying with and billeted by, or the students are still staying and billeted by a Rotary Club. The second week is where they attend RILA. And so it is the 2 parts to the exercise. And we would like to get some more of the island clubs back into the loop on this. It hasn't been easy, obviously, over the last few years with COVID and everything, but we do have 3 coming in from Fiji this time around, and we're really keen to get that going again. So we'll be looking for Rarotonga, Tahiti, Samoa, and maybe Kiribati as well. If anybody has any questions about that, then please give me a call. And I've got the details down there, because Rotary in Auckland, as Auckland-based clubs for 992, they will pay for what we call the land-based, the Auckland-based costs. including attendance at Ryla, billeting, transportation, all that. All that the island clubs have to do is fund the airfare and the passport or visa costs for and travel insurance for their candidates to come to New Zealand. Once they arrive in New Zealand, the Rotarians in Auckland will take over. It's a really worthwhile program, and I know the people who come here from that, from going back a few years now, they really had a good time with that. If anybody on the island's got any questions about that, you can get hold of Stuart Littlejohn, or you can always call me if you want to. And I'd be pleased to take the call. Next slide, please. There you go. Discussion. Raise your hand if you want to ask a question or you want to chat. There you go. How did I do? I made the time.
That was excellent, Peter Ross. You've actually got time on the clock, which is great because we're now going to go into breakout groups. So hold those questions over. Over to you, Ursula.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. That was quick fire, but very informative, and really great to hear from the committee members as well. I think probably we'll use the breakout rooms to have a bit of a discussion. Is there anything, Peter, that you would like them to focus on while they're having these sort of more detailed discussions, or just something general?
There's no specific thing to focus on, because each club has a different focus on what they like to participate in. And if they want to know more information, then that may be available to other people who are in their chat room, or their meeting room. So it's a free for all, whatever they want to know.
Just so that everyone knows, all the information will be available in our Youth District booklet program book that we are updating.
This is how we roll with the LED team. Thanks, Ione. And that's actually on a PDF version, which is in our, you can get that on our website, district website, under Youth and Young Adults section, drop down menu, and go to the booklet there. So nothing is now printed, obviously around cost, but more importantly, anything you'd like to download from that, you can do that independently. So great to know that, Ione, that booklet is coming up, and certainly you can pull out the different aspects of the programs that are more applicable for your group or your club at any stage. And I know that this particular team is very, very open and willing to have contact by all of our members across the district at any time, and I would encourage you to do that. So, John, without any further ado, I think if we go into breakout groups, we're going to have 10 minutes in groups. Can we just, as we've done before, can you elect a spokesperson for your group to come back and share your key either questions or findings or information that you'd like prior to coming back in? When you go into a group, you'll see the number of your group. I think it'll be the same group as before. And so we'll just go through and ask people to report back along those group numbers. So thank you very much. Thank you, John. Yes. Thank you very much, John. Thanks, everyone, for coming back in. I'm going to start us right off with group one. Your spokesperson to share any key findings or questions that you may have for Peter Ross and the Youth and Young Adults whānau. Come in, group one.
Keith here. Hi, Edith.
Thanks,
we were
Keith.
really fortunate to have Amy as our attending our group, so we were really impressed with her enthusiasm and her knowledge about youth programs.
So you shouldn't have any questions.
Sorry?
You shouldn't have any questions.
I guess not. So just a couple of comments. We're keen to hear a list of the secondary schools that clubs are linked to clubs, so that we know who we should deal with. She also spoke a little bit more about the Young Totra Award, and that there are no limitations to the numbers of students who can be nominated for that award, and it's certainly a really good one because of what it promotes. So Yeah, we were certainly well informed about youth programs. And I guess the comment was made about the number of youth programs that Rotary does offer and how we're impressed with that because it is addressing young people and the needs of young people.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Keith. That's great comments. Group 2, spokesperson. Any questions or comments you'd like to add?
There was the group that had George Wilson in it. Josh was in there as well.
If I could make a comment, Mike Williamson from Papakura. I was talking about the relationship between clubs and schools. I've been a teacher for 22 years and have noticed, where correspondence from Rotary clubs often end up, which is addressed to the principal, which is a waste of time, to the deputy principals, which is a waste of time. The best thing to do, my school, Roseville College, we have 2 teachers that belong to the club. And so anything that comes to the school, if the Rotary Club is not sure where to send it, I can point them in the right direction. But I've been at 3 schools and, schools are a difficult beast. And if you don't have, probably the best thing to do is for every club to have a person that is the liaison with the club, so that one person delivers the Rotary message to each school. And then that person is responsible to chase up, if you're talking about rider, if nothing's come through from the school about rider, the Rotary liaison person talks to the school, rather than just sending off another email. And if there's no response, clubs will say, oh, they're not interested, and that's the end of it. So as I say, if you have a good working relationship with a school, you'll find it very satisfying. If you don't have a good relationship, you'll find it very frustrating. So try and get maybe a teacher to join your club, either a permanent member or a someone that comes along to your meetings every now and again, but certainly have a champion in your club that talks to every school. I can assure you it will be one of the best decisions that you as a president-elect will make.
Thanks, Mike.
I hope that's valuable to you guys.
Yeah, great advice. Thanks, Mike. Okay,
Well
group 3.
Group 3, we've got Ramesh Rao from Nandi Club, and he wanted to ask something. Ramesh, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Ramesh.
Hi,
Hi, Ramesh.
everyone. I'm the president of Nandi Rotary Club, and nice to see you all in the presentation. And it's really good to hear and learn most of the things that we are getting clear of about the club's roles and responsibility. My suggestion, and I just want to discuss about, I'm a school teacher, and we look when we look at schools around in Nandi, most of the rural schools are a bit like outside in the islands, interior part of Western, where the kids have got poor facilities. Like they don't have during recess lunch time, they don't have benches outside, or the classrooms is not clean, where it need to be painted, the washroom facilities need to be updated. So I'm planning to have a youth group form in Nandi Rotary Club, and want to look at this project, small projects of getting washroom facilities updated and painting of the classroom of these primary schools, where the kids have got a bit learning, better learning opportunities and a healthy environment. So this is what I have to put up in the forum.
So you want his support, Ramesh?
Yeah.
Yes, if any of the Rotary clubs internationally is willing to work with Nandi Rotary Club, so yes, it will be really great for the students around in Nandi areas, Nandi interior areas.
I'll connect, I said to Ramesh, I'll connect Harjeet from our club who's doing the dictionary project this year. So I'll do that, but he's talking about other youth projects.
Okay, thank you. That was group 3, group 4.
Oh, sorry, Edith. Margaret Rounds had a question. She wanted to know about the youth projects of child protection policy.
Peter Ross.
Yeah.
Peter can answer that.
Well, there's the youth on the slides. There were at least 3, if not 4 slides on the youth protection policy and how it works. But by and large, what you really need to do is to get the whoever's interested to get in touch with Robin Ingram, and Robin will supply you with the contact situation, what you need to read, where you need to go. I'm sort of reluctant to get involved in the detail of that because Robin runs that section. So Robin Ingram's contact details are on the slide. So I suggest that the person who's interested makes that contact.
Thank
you. We'll make sure that Margaret gets that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next group.
Me.
Sarah, question.
For 4. Hi. We would like to say to Peter that will you please update the list for the internet, because we found some clubs, they are not really working with the school in the list. So we'd like to have it updated as well. And secondly,
so
we
just
found
one
out
second,
that
just one second. So it's the Interact clubs.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Aini Kwok will deal with that. Aini, you got that one?
Okay.
Okay. If she's not here now, she'll deal with that. Aini Kwok's she's the contact for Interact.
Right. So if it's any updated of my club, I can send to Annie to update that, right?
Exactly.
Okay, got it. And secondly, we're just thinking about the Raipan Valor and everything, and Rotary Egg. How can we make the connection with those people? And if they've enjoyed the program, is it possible to recruit them as volunteers to help for the club's events in the future?
Yes. Okay. I think the first thing to say with that one is that it starts with RILA. RILA is the one that produces the people that are between 20 and 28. They then go on to run RIPEN. They will then come back and run RILA again, and it goes in a circle. Some of those may go on to join Rotaract. So if you want to get into the loop with that, I do suggest 2 things. One, somebody from the club or somebody from where associated with you should come out to RILA and observe what goes on. You need to get connected with the exercise. Then also somebody from the club needs to go and observe RIPEN. RIPEN is run in the Hunuas. It's not hard to get to. It's just a little bit further than normal, and make the connection. I think that if you want to get involved with youth programs, my suggestion is send 1 or 2 of the club youth people to RIPEN, RILA, and Moona. All right. And also, if you're not involved with the school that's doing RIDA, I very strongly suggest that somebody gets involved, touch with George Wilson and says, could I come along and help out at one of the riders? He will be more than welcoming for somebody to come along and attend. If you want to find out about them and really engage, go and see them. Get into the game. That's how you will get in. And then you will meet all the people, you'll come to those places, and you will then start to become part of it. It'll be so much easier. If you wait for people to send you emails, it'll become just a much more distant. Get hands-on.
Okay, so you don't mind the club who deal with the youth, they can join your program in those days and then see if the young people are happy with to help in their events as volunteers?
Yeah, exactly. If you build up it's a matter of building up a connection to the Rotarians.
Okay.
And one of the key people to talk to about that is Aini. Aini picks a lot of Rotarians and takes them to RIPEN, and which Josh Simpson is one of those people. And and they run RIPEN. So they're fizzing. They're ready to run things. They're ready to do things. Same group of people, a little bit variation. They ran the weekend disability camp last year. So they do things, they will do things, but you need to make the contact. But if you want to actually get a whole lot of Rylarians in to help you run a project, then you need to contact me and we'll put it up on the Facebook page. Okay?
Okay. I will ask them to do so. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay, bye.
Great questions, Evelyn. Final group, group 5. Is there anyone from group 5 that has any questions or comments to share?
There was only 4 groups, Edith.
Only 4 groups. No one from group 5. Thanks, John.
I was looking for
Okay,
group 5.
Margaret's asked a question. Will the PowerPoints be available? We can make them available for you, Margaret. If you can just send an email to myself, and then I will put you on to the different committees.
They'll
And,
also be available in the recording that'll be on the website.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
So that website again is up on our District 9920 website under the Rotarian section. And if you come down to Learning and Development, drop down menu, you'll find this recording in the next week or so. So we have a final poll. If we can complete that, please, for our youth section, because we love giving feedback to Peter Ross and his extremely busy and talented whānau.
If he doesn't get good feedback, he won't come back next year.
Oh my goodness, we can't have that. We can't have that.
It better be an A++, otherwise we won't be back.
Yeah, no pressure, whānau.
No, there's plenty of pressure on us, I tell you.
Look at that, really coming in, wonderful. Thank you. I know we've only got 25 or so of us on the call, and some of us are on presenting and other modes. We've got 12. Is there any more coming out of 12? Okay, let's see in that poll.
I'm looking for some comments coming through the chat too.
Okay, I can't see that chat at the moment. Sharing. So there you go, Peter. You have to come back next time and the whānau.
I have to come back just to get those people who have found it somewhat informative, make sure I get it to them, won't I?
Yeah, well, you know, we can work with you on that. You know that.
82%. I'm sure you can.
We're here to support. You know that.
Oh, yes, I know. I know.
We make sure we get the younger people on that next year, eh, Peter?
Yes. Yeah, okay, Arnie, you can do that. That's fine. Note to everybody, Arnie's running next year. She's a younger person.
No, Josh is running next year.
Fantastic. I'm going to leave that to your talented committee, and I'll leave you people to sort that out. You have a whole 12 months to do that. We'll be back here, the same place, sort of around the same time. We will aim not to be on Mother's Day next year. We just have a Rotary International Convention that actually is in next weekend, the next couple of weekends, and so we had to push it back.
Okay.
So our committee is going to actually push it forward so that we are not on Mother's Day next year. So finally, I'm going to hand over to District Governor-elect Vanita for any last comments, and then I'll round us off for a happy Mother's Day and a cheers. I have my cheers ready.
Oh, that's not fair.
Just saying.
Thank you, Edith. I really appreciate your presence here today. I'm sorry if we've messed up your schedule today. We really appreciate the time that you've given, and look forward to the second session next weekend when we can wrap up the whole training for the clubs and the leaders. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, and have a happy Mother's Day.
Thanks, Vanita.
Thank you, Vanita. Thank you, everyone, once again for attending. Your presence is our gift, always, for Mother's Day and every other day in Rotary. And in closing, I'd just like to finish us off with a closing karakia. Kia tau te rangi Māori ki runga i ngā iwi o te ao. Let the peace reign throughout the world on all the people. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Have a great evening, everybody. Ka kite.